Hey everyone, this is Harlan Svi Kilstein, and I'm on with Laura Ben David, who 20 years ago moved from Boca Raton to Jerusalem. You've been here 20 years.
Yeah,
Looking back, what do you think of that move?
best move I ever made. Best move ever.
What's so different about living in Jerusalem versus living in Boca?
So, okay, just for um to make it accurate, it was actually Gush Etzion where I was. I will be moving to Jerusalem, but I've never actually lived in Jerusalem. But Israel is very different. Actually, it's kind of funny because when we made Aliyah, we had been in Florida for all that time in Boca Raton, and we specifically looked for a place that was not flat, not humid. And this is really obviously the physical things. So, we moved into the mountains where it was cool and comfortable, but it's it's extremely different in so many ways. And at the same time, we had amazing community there in Boca, and that was something that we wanted to replicate, which we did. So
And what was the adjustment like for you and for your family?
it was huge. It was definitely it's a huge adjustment to go from English speaking country where everything is what we are used to. Anytime you move to another country, it's going to be a big adjustment. So it was definitely a lot figuring out work, figuring out schools, the kids, even like socially. We had lots of family in America. Everybody was there. We had a lot of people right there in Boca and other places as well. We moved to Israel and had no family. So that was an enormous adjustment as well. That was our personal story, but yeah, it's huge.
And now, looking back on that period of time that you've been in Israel, what would you say are some of the highlights of your time in Israel? What are those special moments that, like, wow, this could only have happened here?
Oh my God, there are so many. There's so really, really so many things. But I guess like some of the things that really stand out are, let's say, like an army tekes, a ceremony, like when one of our kids, went into the army and finished a certain stage and had this, the ceremony where they're like have become a soldier defending our homeland. That's really, really intense in on many levels, and obviously something that you can't experience like that anywhere else. You could be in the army, but you won't be in our army. So I think that stands out.
Okay, wow, fantastic. So on those special days, when the entire country comes to a standstill, everybody gets outside of their cars, what goes through you when you hear the sirens go off?
So first of all, when on those days, I try very hard to be somewhere where I'm able to experience that siren. Like it's something. The whole thing is very, very special and very powerful. That everyone in the country is everyone's stopping whatever they're doing and experiencing it together. You know that even if you're standing in your living room, but you feel it when you are on a highway or in a city or someplace where you literally are seeing other people doing it with you. So I actually try to put myself in a place where I can experience it with other people. And yeah, it's really powerful and really important. You literally are doing your life, doing your thing, and you have that feeling of, wow, everybody is thinking about the soldiers that were lost, the Holocaust, victims of the Holocaust, whatever it is, we're all in it together. And it is a very, very powerful thing.
Okay, now, um, you um, you knew Josh Fass before he was the Josh Fass,
Hmm.
Nefesh B'Nefesh. And I know he just brought in a plane, another plane with hundreds of families.
Hmm.
Do you have any thoughts on the numbers of people? I remember years ago, there would be many people moving, and the numbers seem to be drying up a little bit from the United States and from Boca. Any thoughts on that?
I don't know specifically about the numbers, but I did work at Nefesh B'Nefesh for about 7 years. And the numbers that it was always like, fluctuating. There were things that brought it up, things that, sometimes it would, dry up, as you say. I think that the important thing about it is that Aliyah has become normalized. When we made Aliyah, and we were on the first plane. We were literally the first people to get off the first plane. So like we were right there from the beginning 20 years ago, with Nefesh B'Nefesh. When I remember telling friends that we were making Aliyah, I remember this one particular friend, and she was like, people still do that? Like it was some like, like 70s trend, like bell bottoms that went out of style, making Aliyah. And that was like so shocking to me. But she was right. People weren't doing it. So what Josh Fast did was he normalized Aliyah, and he made it something that people do, and that like he created, like now the 75,000th person made Aliyah this week. That's unbelievable from America. That's unbelievable. Or from, the Nefesh B'Nefesh world. That is like an incredible number. And it created a situation where pretty much no one in the Jewish world in America doesn't know people who have made Aliyah. So it's become normalized. Yes, there will be fluctuations, there'll be ups and downs, and we don't have an endless supply of people to make Aliyah. So that's a natural thing as well. But even if the numbers go down, they'll go back up, and the numbers are continuing. They may not be, at the same kind of spikes that they've been. And again, I don't know because I haven't seen the numbers, but the fact that it's normalized is, I think that's huge.
Now, yesterday, and I'm dating this, I saw a fantastic picture taken in the Shuk by you and posted, and you said you waited and waited for this picture. You've become quite a photographer recently.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I love it.
How has that come about?
So I think that art is something that was always kind of my direction. It wasn't the professional direction I chose. Anyone who knew me back in Boca knows that I was a nurse and sometimes a teacher, nothing artistic at all. Not really. But there's something that I really love is I love to see things and capture them, replicate them in some way. I really just enjoy it. When I moved to Israel, I started writing, and that was like a way of sharing the beauty and incredible experiences of Israel. And I slowly discovered that photography is a much quicker way to do it, even if you have to stand and wait for your shot. But that, picture says 1,000 words. It takes a lot. It doesn't take as much time to take a picture that it does to write 1,000 words. But you're able to really capture these moments and share them. And I love that. I really, really love experiencing the world that way through a camera lens. So this is just something that was just kind of a natural progression for me to just move into photography. I really love it.
Now, when something threatens Israel or threatens Jews in the world, people come together. And usually the centrality of Israel is what holds people together. Recently, there was a bar mitzvah that took place not far from the Kotel, and I saw your name as the photographer. And that bar mitzvah became an international incident. Can you tell us what you saw?
Yeah. So first of all, the bar mitzvah was technically at the Kotel, but it was at the southern part of it, which is basically the egalitarian section of the Kotel. I was a photographer for a bar mitzvah, a family that came from America to celebrate their bar mitzvah. It happened to be on Rosh Chodesh, the first of the Hebrew month, and that day in particular, every Rosh Chodesh is a day where there's often demonstrations at the Kotel where people are trying to generate more egalitarian, more whatever it is. I'm not going to that's a separate thing, and there are definitely always a lot of demonstrations and so forth.
And passions.
A lot of passions. Which makes sense that a place that's most revered, holy, site for for Jews. In any case, at the egalitarian section, which is set aside and designated for anyone who wants to worship in a way that's different than the standard Orthodox separate seating, separate men and women, can go there. And this family was celebrating. When we got there, there were like a number of people, of very religious people, who were kind of sitting there looking at a place, looking like, why are they here? They could have been invited guests of anything, but something wasn't right. And we soon realized what they were there for. They were there to basically harass people who were worshiping in a way that was different from what they believed is correct. People, because they were together, mixed men and women, because they maybe a little different. And they were our group, and there were 3 bar mitzvahs out there, and all of us were literally surrounded by these young men, boys and young men, Haredi, ultra Orthodox, whatever, they were blowing whistles in our ears and calling us all sorts of horrible names. It was really bad. And I engaged with a couple of them, because I do that, it was like, what, like, why are you doing this? Like, why would you do this to these people? I also felt very protective of my clients. Like, I'm the Israeli here, and they're, the Americans who don't know what in the world's flying. And I was very upset. And engaging with them, I realized that they really believed in their cause. They really believed that they are, I don't know, somehow, the army of God, defending the world from people who are doing things wrong. It was really, really upsetting. It was, upsetting, and like, just for us having that experience of being so harassed, and literally they were like blowing whistles in our ears. For hours afterwards, we heard the ringing in our ears. To me, that's assault. But then you think about, like, okay, but if this would have happened at the main part of the Kotel, a group of worshipers being surrounded with whistles blown and names called and everything, that wouldn't have been allowed. There's no way. But somehow it's like kind of like a little bit out of the way that, it was allowed to take place. And I think that that's one of the things that got people so angry and so upset, that like, how did this even escalate to this point? Why would this have been allowed to happen? Hopefully, at the very least, there'll be lessons learned from that awful morning, because it was really awful.
And I understand the Prime Minister placed a call to the boy and his family to apologize for what had taken place.
Yeah, at least one of them. There were 3. I don't know if it was my client, but yeah, the Prime Minister, Lapid, I know, got, was involved. In a lot of organizations have really gotten up in arms about it, which they should, because it's just not okay.
Okay, switching back to Israel as your home.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you still have lots and lots of friends who still are in Boca.
Mm-hmm.
And, to them, the idea of making Aliyah is still a dream. What would you want to say? What would you want to say to them about that dream?
Well, if it's actually a dream, like something that they want to do, as opposed to something that, like, oh wow, that would be nice, but it's not happening, I would say to go for it, make a plan. It's not an easy thing, but it's while it's really just an amazing life change, that it's a way to really just kind of fully actualize your Jewish experience, your Jewish life. There are things that you just can't do anywhere else but Israel. Like, for example, going on just a regular hike, or going anywhere really, you're just stepping in like the footsteps of like the forefathers, the Bible, the Torah. There's so much richness and Jewish, the Jewish experience here. Also things like just the life cycles, the holidays, everything is according to the Jewish calendar. You don't have that in America or anywhere else in the world. But I think that anyone who wants to do it, who feels like this is something that they want to do, explore it, come for a pilot trip, see what it's like, talk to us who have done it, who have been through it. It's just an amazing, worthwhile journey that it's, obviously life-changing, but so worthwhile. It really is.
Thank you, Laura, for your time today. I so much appreciate it, and I hope that our friends in Boca really pay attention to the message today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.